Hello and welcome to this inspiration session. My name is Renee Kacz and I am the host of the inspiration sessions. And tonight I have the absolute pleasure of chatting with the gorgeous Anna Richards. Now, the inspiration sessions came about because I wanted to been connecting with some really amazing people, and I thought it would be really powerful to do a series of Q&A style interviews with ordinary people who have an extraordinarily inspirational story. And I think Anna absolutely fits the bill. So we're going to jump straight into this. So I'll tell you a little bit about Anna and then we'll go into the Q&A. So Anna is an international health and business coach who has had the honour of impacting thousands and thousands of women's lives through transforming their bodies and their financial blueprints via the work that she gets to do with them. So both online and in person. And her passion is being a speaker who gets to serve from the stage on all things health, business, leadership, and of course, self-love. Anna's vision and mission in life isn't to have the fanciest bio, but it is to help women from all walks of the globe to live their most extraordinary life in all areas. And Anna believes that it all starts and ends with love. And to have that mission, she believes she must first live into it herself. And honestly, knowing Anna the way that I do, I believe that she truly does live into that ethos herself. So by the age of 21, Anna had launched her first business. By 22, she received her bachelor's degree. And at the age of 25, she'd spent 4 years in federal politics. But it wasn't until when she was 25, though, that she really found and started to follow her passions, which is the form of her current business and lifestyle. So the last 4 years has seen Anna earn over $1 million with her business, and also, of course, marry her amazing husband, Morgan, who she dated for the last 10 years. She's also traveled the globe and lived into all of her bucket list goals, and absolutely walks her talk by being an ambassador of self-love. So Anna really does live and breathe by that ethos of self-love, and she believes, she can't tell us to live a life of alignment and self-love if she's not living into it herself. And as if you get to know Anna personally, which I truly hope that you do, then you'll see that she really does live into that herself. And by living by example, Anna hopes to show that, she can live the life of her own dreams. And this, again, just all comes back to that same message of self-love. Then absolutely you can too. And Anna is excited that you might get to know her soon personally as well. So more than just getting to read about her rad bio, should get to learn about yours. So welcome, Anna. It is so amazing to have you with us. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, gorgeous. I love that you do these. I absolutely adore all that you do and all that you are. And I love being amongst the inspired women. And I saw when you first launched these, I was all over it. So thank you so much for having me on. Love to hang out with these girls tonight, ladies.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. I'm so excited about doing this. So firstly, I guess we'll start with a bit of a background story. So, where did you start from? Because I know a bit about your background, but I'm sure that probably not everyone is familiar with your story. So how were things for you? Because I know you weren't always this happy, lovely, happy-go-lucky lady that you are now. So tell us a bit about your background and sort of how things started out in life for you.
Yeah, I would be honoured to. So I laugh because I always say, people see me today and they know, or they get to know who I am via my social media and who I live and breathe by the ethos of who I am online is exactly who I am offline. So if you do follow me and you get to know me online, that is exactly who I am offline, but it wasn't always this way. So that's what I always have to say, no matter where you feel that you are currently at in life, no matter what you've done, no matter where you've come from, no matter what you've gone through, you really can create the life of your dreams. Because back it up, a very long time ago now, but to really go back, to childhood, because I have to preface it because I had a pretty wild teens then and pre-20s. But I had a pretty unfortunate, I suppose, like not a not the best childhood, just with a lot of abuse. And I grew up into a super angry teenager. I had a beautiful mum, so I always love to say that because I just honour her so much, that loved and adored me and my brothers and sisters, but just a really shitty stepfather, a shitty stepfather. And yeah, so I grew up with a lot of abuse, turned into a super angry teenager who self-harmed, who was promiscuous, who, did not teenagers recreational drugs, but sort of grew through that. And then, from an angry teenager turned into a super angry adolescent, so 18 to sort of 21, where alcohol wasn't enough anymore. I started to do recreational drugs. I got in fist fights. That's probably when I was at my worst, definitely. And I kind of got to 21, I always say, and just was absolutely not the pillar of what I espouse today, of self-love and gratitude and divine living and extraordinary living. And I just looked at I had debilitating anxiety to the point where I was medicated daily with Xanax. And I just was like, is this it? Is this why I've been put on earth? Of course it's not. So really started to make drastic changes. But I always love to wear my heart on my sleeve with as much of my story as I can, because I think, A, it serves so many women, because a lot of women, there's aspects of it that they can take that they make their own. But B, a lot of people will see the success today and see the business success or the following and all those sorts of things and think it's easy for her. She's whatever assumptions that people make, and that's totally so fine. But I always love to say, I learn it from a beautiful mentor of mine, Susan, but people always see the glory, they never know the story. So I'm always hell-bent on making sure people know the story, that it wasn't always that way, but I just knew that there was so much more greatness within me, and I went for it.
Awesome. I love that. Well, I don't love the pain that you went through and the struggle that you went through, but I love how you turn that around and use that now to, be part of your story and help propel you now. So what was it that happened? Was there a particular defining moment? Or was there something that was a catalyst for you to take a look at your life and make a change?
Do you know what? I always say there wasn't, there was a few, I suppose. It was really a period more than anything. There was a particular, I was out on a weekend and it was the pinnacle of just the bottom. And I was out on a weekend, I'd sort of done ecstasy all weekend, I got in a girl fight that weekend, and it wasn't like I sound so crazy, I was crazy, but I was always sticking up for someone else. That's how I got in fights. I want to preface that. I didn't go looking for them, but I think it was just the worst, probably one of the worst weekends of my life. And like I said, I just said it before, but it really was that rock bottom where I went, is this it? This is not what I'm destined for. And this is the coolest thing. And if that story is too extreme for you or too great for you and there is no relatability, for me it was just, I always say it was like a gentle knocking on my soul. And I reckon that's where the anxiety came from. You're better than this, you're bigger than this, there's more greatness within you, this isn't it. And I kind of just, it was like, well, where do I even begin? I had no direction. I didn't necessarily have any excellent mentors other than my beautiful mum in my life at the time, who always read the Bible. She was always a reader. And so it was kind of like, well, maybe that's what I need to do. I need to pick up a book. And so I picked up my very first book, Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. And I literally didn't put it down over the course of about a week, and I just devoured the whole book. And for the first time properly in my life, I started to learn about values and goal setting and language. I learned about the power of language, which just couldn't believe it. Like, I remember people used to ask me, how are you at 21? And I'd say, oh, I'm not bad. And in this book, it explored how saying, not bad is just, you're ultimately still saying bad. The universe only hears bad. And just little things like this just literally blew my mind. And I got to so much work on every single one of those chapters at the time. That was my starting point. And just chapter by chapter. And it was quick. I have to say it was quick. It's a choice, right? Everything's a choice. I wasn't, and a lot had happened in my life. I'm scraping the surface. It wasn't, I needed to, get into it and work through it all. It was like a choice I made in that moment. That was like, you know what? I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I don't know how big I can go. I don't know how great I can go, but I know that I can do this. And I know that if I focus on self and come back to me, then I'll be able to achieve anything. But it was just that decision that I made in that moment that this is it. I don't need to look backwards. That doesn't need to be, yes, it's my story and I'm always going to own that, but it doesn't need to be moving forward in the future. And I went for it. So as far as a moment, I think it was a catalyst of moments totally, but then it was a moment that I made the decision to really propel my life forward and make drastic changes.
Yes. That's so true. I love how you've really focused on that moment, and it only takes a moment and that snap decision for us to make a decision. And it's like, whenever you commit to something, if you commit to something, like you try the diet that starts Monday, and it, you're like, I'm going to give it a go, and you're sort of 95% committed. That is the hardest thing to do. But when we make a decision and we commit and we're full in, that's when it becomes easy. That's when we can just embrace it and we're able to commit to that change. So it's really powerful that you've shared, it's that decision and making the decision. But I also really like how you've talked about books being an influence for you, or at least that book, Awaken the Giant Within, being a big influence. And that's something, and I spoke about this recently, just yesterday actually, and promoting a bit of this inspiration session tonight, and talking about how, we need to protect ourselves, particularly when we're going through that phase of growing and getting yourself out there, and being a business owner and being a leader means sometimes you can't share your ideas or your visions with everyone. But what we can do is surround ourselves with people who do share that. And you know what? If you're stuck in a place and you're really struggling to find people who think big and support us, then we can connect to authors through books, which I think is just the most powerful thing. So hearing that just reading a book was so powerful for you, because you were having a conversation with Tony Robbins. He was coaching you through that book, reading it, and you're getting the power of that coming through to you and speaking to you.
100%. And it's something that I'm like, if everybody knew it, and Morgan is like my amazing husband, he jumped on before. I was like, get off, it's a girl thing. No, I'm just kidding.
I know he can jump on, that's fine.
He was so cute. I saw his name pop up. That's why when you were introducing me, I had the biggest smile on my face, because I saw him jump. He's so supportive. Bless him. No, but he says this all the time. He goes, if anyone lives and breathes by this, it's you. I will say no to so much. I say yes to a lot, but no to even more things, because I am so conscious of, you really are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And back then, and I'm talking everything, physically, how you look, what you earn, how you speak, what you do, everything. So if you looked around right now and you had a look at the 4 or the 5 closest people in your life, how they love, how they love themselves, their capacity to love, you are the average of the 5 of them. So just think about that. And so back when I was trying to change my life, at the time, even though I loved my girlfriends with all I had, realistically they were still in a really in the place that I had been in, right? So I'm not going to judge it. It wasn't bad. It was just a place that we were in. And so the 5 people that I then went and spent the most time with was the books. It was Danielle Laporte. It was Gabrielle Bernstein. It was Tony Robbins. It was Oprah. And I just devoured these books. And the craziest thing was, for me, I started to become absolutely not like them, but I started to pick up their nuances, and I started to pick up, their goal setting habits, because that's all I read. And that this whole thing about, self-love, where that just so beautifully tied into all that, is it was when I started to surround myself, even though it was in the books, with these people and these greats. It was when you read a lot of books, you start to pick up the key messages. And over and over and over again, for me, it just became this thing of like, okay, Anna, if you had to look at what they're all doing, and I'm becoming the average of the 5 of them, how are they living their best life? How are they having this success? And ultimately, Renee knows this, but it boiled down to these sort of 4 things for me. Because of aligning myself and surrounding myself with these authors. And it was, I got myself into such a dark, crappy place because, I hated myself essentially. Even if you're not there, if you're not at that depth, for me, it could be like, it could be emotional eating for you. It could be, not pursuing your goals because you doubt yourself. That's not hate, but that's a level of it, of self-doubt. You could be playing small because you don't think you're good enough. So wherever you're at for that, I was just at the extreme level because I hated myself. So I remember looking at these authors going, they earn money, they have success, they have friendships, they have relationships, they have what I want. What are they doing? And I said, well, Anna, what would your life look like if you started to love yourself instead? How would that look? How would you eat if instead you loved yourself? How would you speak if instead you loved yourself? How would you what kind of people would you surround yourself with if you loved yourself? What kind of goals would you have if you loved yourself? And little by little, thanks to the people that I surrounded myself with, which at the time, my biggest influence was the books, I always say I moved from sort of where I was to who I am today because of this ethos of moving, speaking, eating, and acting like I love myself. And it really did come down to that conscious effort of, you just hit the nail on the head, who am I surrounding myself with? I am the average, and for me, I needed to do better, feel better, have more. And it was the authors of the books at the time. And then little by little, friends did absolutely fall away. And that was okay. That was a blessing in disguise, of course. And more phenomenal women came into my life. Kim, who's on the webinar, is one of them, of course. Hey, beautiful. But yeah, all these phenomenal women came into my life. And when we caught up, it was talking about goals and aspirations and love and all the good stuff. And all the other stuff sort of started to fall away, the negativity.
Yeah. And I think it's like, so, when we're younger, it's up until I think the age of 6 or 7 is where we get all that imprint, and, it's almost like that brainwashing takes place, and we hold those belief systems right through into our adulthood. But now that we're adults, the only victims in life are children. They are kind of exposed to how life is, and they don't really have a lot of choice in that. But as an adult, we're totally responsible for our lives, and we are 110% responsible for our thoughts. That's the one thing we definitely can control in our life. And what we can do to impact that is by looking at what's surrounding ourselves. So we can absolutely brainwash ourselves. You might be exposed to whatever it was when you were growing up, but paying attention to what we're reading, watching, viewing, we can imprint and put so much positive stuff in there. And, you might not be the biggest reader, but what about you could listen to audios? I love listening.
Baby.
I listen to podcasts. I listen to audiobooks. In my car, I'm always listening to something. And occasionally, I'll go a couple of days where I'll just listen to music, but about a month straight, I'll just listen to stuff and I'll be learning. But you can brainwash yourself with certain people, and there's everything on YouTube. There's absolutely everything, the most amazing people, and you can access people who are long since passed away, some of the old greats and the current greats. It's so amazing, the information we have available. So, I think that's something that's really great. And I love how you touched on, what would I do if I loved myself? How would I move? How would I think? How would I act? All these different things, and how you incorporate that. That's really powerful. How do you find that impacts your decisions and your behavior?
That is the absolute North Star in my life. So to speak to the power of, why you beautiful ladies got on the call tonight, which was really to learn about radical self-love in business, how that impacts me is in every single waking day. So for me to wake up and for me to, so I have a abundantly beautiful, incredible, successful business in what I do. I have a lot of other things. I speak. I have another event coming up. We're flying to Adelaide for an event. There's a lot that I have on in my life. But because none of that matters before I love myself first, or I should say, no, none of that, yeah, it's true. None of that does matter until I love myself first. So how that impacts my life today is, I get to show up as the best version of who I am every single day, no matter what. People always ask me, how are you? And the answer is legitimately phenomenal, always. And I say that, how are you? Phenomenal. I'm like, phenomenal. And I'm like, always. Because at the end of the day, you know, I absolutely put my own oxygen mask on first. So when I show up in my business, I'm full. I am genuinely full. And I won't show up in my business until I am full. I won't get on a call. I won't speak on a stage. I won't dive into my inbox. I won't do anything until I've put my own oxygen mask on first, because you can't serve from a place where you're empty. So for me, every single day, moving like I love myself, eating like I love myself, speaking like I love myself, thinking like I love myself, and therefore acting like I love myself, just guides my morning rituals for me. That's how I do it. I do morning rituals. You can call it spiritual practices or daily rituals, whatever you want to call it. But ultimately, it was getting super clear on those things for myself, not making it a big deal, not feeling like I had to have a day, or, you know, never making it feel like a chore. It always switches for me. But by coming back to that whole, okay, Anna, you know, eat like you love yourself, move like you love yourself, speak like you love yourself. By the time I'm showing up to my business at sort of, I do it all online from this office, but, you know, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., whenever it is I choose, I am full. I am whole. I am ready. I feel amazing. And I can serve just from the most abundant place and feel the best, because I've always served myself first. And you know, if you fly, I fly very often, but they always say, you know, before you, in case of an emergency, ensure that you fix your own oxygen mask on first before you help others. And it's like we forget that as women. Or it's not that we forget it, it's just that life does demand that it just does so much more of us as women. And I think that we always do, business or not. I know there's a lot of women that could watch this back that are starting out in business or don't have a business yet, but we are so world class at putting ourselves maybe not last, but second or third or fourth. And for me, I just always say, no, you know, take it back to self, take it back to you, take it back to self-love of self first, because without that, you cannot serve your marriage, your business, your household, your community, anybody, the cashier, until you are full. So how learning those principles way back when, not even that, I'm 29, so 8 years ago, how that's impacted my life is I get to have the success, I get to have the income, I get to have the abundance, I get to, you know, live my dream life, because I can always show up for speaking events, for my own events, for my business, for my inbox, for my marriage, because I come first, not any of that stuff. But then when I show up to all of those things, you know, there's success and abundance and fun and energy, because I have all those things first. So, and yeah, like I said, if you wanted to nut that down even further, we could talk about what that looks like for me, or what the, you know, looks like in terms of morning rituals. And I always say morning rituals only because how you start your day is how you end your day. And, you know, for me, I think if we're going to talk about filling our own cup first, well, that would just, you know, scientifically make sense that it's at the start of the day, because that's where we need it the most. So I think women can feel like, and a lot have kids. I have a business full of mums, so I get it. And then they, you know, the excuse can be, or the reason can be, well, my kids wake up early, and I get that. But I always say, well, just find 5 minutes. Even just 5 minutes could change your whole day.
Yeah. So I do want to go into those rituals with you, but first I just want to touch on something, because in life, it's not all peaches and rainbows. It's not always unicorns and fairy dust. And sometimes we'll just wake up feeling like rubbish, even if nothing particular has happened. It might be a certain time in your cycle, or it might just be whatever. It's just like that. And we live by contrast. So what do you do? I mean, what does your day look like if you wake up feeling like absolute poo? Do you stay in that, or do your rituals get you out of it? What happens on that kind of a day? Because if you're not going to show up until you're feeling amazing, what do you do around that?
Yeah, awesome question. So as much as I'm Unicorn's biggest ambassadors, I'm acutely aware that life is not all rainbows and unicorns. But I always say I've turned bad days into bad hours into bad moments. So for me now, and that just comes, it's a muscle, right? So for me now, I know that everything is a choice, and it can be such a reach for some women where they're at, and I get that. So I'll say it, and then I'm going to break it down for you. But you know, I have bad moments, but I understand, again, just like I said, it was a moment that I made the decision to go, okay, everything that's happened to me, everything that I've gone through, everything that you know has happened up until this point, from this moment on, I'm just going to look to the future. I don't need to look behind me. The same thing in a bad moment. So for me, you know, I still have bad days. I still have I still have horrible things happen. I mean, I have a funeral tomorrow that we have to go to for a very good friend whose partner we just lost. There's things that are going to happen in our life, but just to give you, actually, let's use that as a really good example. Pretty hard day tomorrow, for example. I have set my whole morning up, again, as a good example, to make sure that I'm full first. So that gym session is booked in. That's just how I put my own oxygen mask on. I have made sure that I've no calls. I'm not doing any calls. I'm not doing Zooms. I'm not doing anything. I've got the morning to read, to take a bath, to go to the gym, to just really soak up what I need to for my own oxygen mask. But if something happens in the day where it can throw me, or I get a hater or a bad call, or something goes wrong in the business, which happens all the time, it's that choice to go, okay, well, this could ruin my day, or it's that, well, Anna, hang on a minute, in the present moment. I call it like conscious mindfulness, about being in the moment with no judgment and going, okay, well, what can I do from here to turn this around? Or what can I be grateful for? And truly, what can I be grateful for in this moment to get myself out of this? Because at the end of the day, for me, like I said, it went from bad weeks to bad days to bad hours to bad moments. So for me now, I mean, it happens all the time. I've got a pretty heavy day tomorrow, but it's still just coming back to not making it, it's choosing to not make it a bad day, just choosing to have it a bad moment, honoring it in the moment. You know what? That sucks. Feelings, emotions, I honor you. But then what can I do to get out of that? And I have a list. It could be loud music, it could be go for a walk, it could be take a bath, it could be read a book. So I've got like a self-love list that I call upon. It could be light a candle. It's the simplest of things for me, but it's always just focusing on something that's going to refill my tank.
Yeah. Okay. That is really powerful. And I like Hal Elrod actually talks about that, and he has his 5-minute rule. And he says that, it's okay to get angry, and definitely get angry, feel into that, because that's a natural, healthy emotion. But to stay in it for anything more than 5 minutes is actually just a waste of our energy, because beyond that, instead of being solution focused, we stay in the problem. So allowing ourselves to feel that, but then going, okay, now what's the opportunity here? How can I turn this around? And what good is in this for me in this present moment? Because stuff does happen, and particularly running a business, like, yes, it's not so about it's not being unrealistic and saying, okay, I'm just going to avoid that. That's just not how it is. I'm going to focus on the light. Stuff does happen. So it's about how can I manage myself to best deal with it. So what I'd love to hear from
just really quickly on that, about this whole self-loving business, a big thing, and I've got another mentor, David Wood, who always says we're either always infecting or affecting people. And so generally bad moments, let's be honest, you're having a bad moment because it hasn't necessarily come from you. But it could come, you could wake up on the wrong side of the bed, a business deal could go wrong. But I'm always consciously thinking, even when something's happened against me, not for me, sort of thing, and that's the thing that's throwing me, that's giving me my bad moment. Always, I try. No one's perfect, but take it back to, okay, can I either infect this person and get into this mess and be amongst the heaviness, or can I affect them for the better? So can I stay in the light? Can I, be kinder, be nicer, be more patient, be more loving? Can I show them how I love myself for them to, be a mirror for them? So that's another just really quick exercise that I'll always do. How can I, lost luggage, plane, all that stuff. It happens a lot as well. But well, can I infect this person? Can I get in the heaviness? Can I kick the wall? Can I be, in a negative, dark energy about it? Or can I affect them for the better? That's like a really quick little thing that you can always do.
Yeah, that's really cool. Infect or affect. I'll note that one down. So what would be your top tips for people who are wanting to really rock their business, and the women on our call and watching this? What would you suggest that they do to really exercise that self-love muscle to be able to best propel themselves and their businesses?
Oh, okay. So the biggest thing that I would always say is really just, I mentioned it before, but it really does go back to this daily rituals, spiritual practices, morning routines thing. And it's about not ever making it, so having a spiritual practice or morning ritual, let's call it a morning ritual, for yourself. And never, ever, ever making it, though, another to-do. I think this is the thing where we all go so wrong. And it's like, well, my morning routine should look like exercise, meditation, and what's something else that you might, and reading, right? But you hate meditating. You couldn't think of anything worse than exercising, and reading just isn't your jam. That is not what a self-love routine looks like. You might love dancing. You might be really good at listening to things, and you could love gratitude. So, and that might change every single day, but whatever it is for you, every single day, it's just doing 2 or 3 little things in your morning first thing that is going to fill your own tank and just make you feel better. And like I said, we are just so prone as women to writing to-dos, to just cross things off. And sometimes that's how our self-love practices can go. I find that often. A lot of women go, oh, but I feel like meditation is such a chore. And I'm like, then why are you doing it? I know we're such ambassadors for meditation, but I feel women get really stuck on this point. But I'm like, but would dancing feel good for you? Would putting on some hip hop or I love Enya, right? I said it to this dance the other day. Would putting on some Enya and dancing around the room for 2 minutes feel good for you? Would that make you laugh and be, connected to that energy of joy? Cool, we'll do that. So, or would writing 2 things that you're grateful for feel amazing? And dry body brushing, would that feel really good? It's just about finding 1 or 2 or 3 things, 1 to 3 things every single morning. And it's going to change. Like I said, it's absolutely, allow it to change. Be in the flow of that sort of joy of today. What feels really good is going for a walk, but tomorrow it could be doing a weight session. The next day it could be dancing to Enya, and the next day it could be going to yoga. But just making sure that every single day you start your day with something for yourself, by yourself, to fill your own tank before you show up in the world, in your business, for your marriage, for your kids, whatever it is. And even if it's 5 minutes, that's where women go wrong as well. They think they've got to get up at 5, and I get that, and they've got kids. So there's all these excuses. Truth will piss you off before it will set you free. But excuses versus using them as reasons. Well, you know what? I do have to get up at 5, and I have kids, and I have a crazy business schedule. So maybe I should get up 5 minutes earlier and just dance or have do you know what I love? I love hot showers. Get up 5 minutes earlier if that's going to fill your tank, and have a 5-minute longer hot shower. Save the environment, I get that. But if that's going to fill your tank and that's going to make you show up better in the universe and in your world and in your community and in your marriage, take the damn 5 minutes. The environment's going to thank you for it, because your energy when you're out there in the world is vibing at such a higher level. So you're going to then affect people around you. So it's just having that non-negotiable, practice of morning rituals where even if it's 5 minutes, just doing something for self that just centers you, grounds you, connects you to joy. That's the point of living, is joy. So what's going to make you feel happiest? What's going to make you feel fullest? What's going to make you feel love? And do that, and then go and show up in your business. And I can guarantee you the clients will come, the business will come, the abundance will come, the fun will come, and then more and more and more of that will just grow and grow and grow.
Yes, absolutely. And as a further resource for anyone interested, Hal Elrod has written an amazing book, The Miracle Morning. And so he was trying to find, what was that extra thing that the most successful people are doing that no one knows about. And basically it goes into the 6 things of, every single incredible, most successful person in the world today they do 2 or more of the following. Okay, this puts me on the spot. I better remember them all. The act of being grateful, meditating, exercising, self-development and learning, affirmations and journaling. And he found that each of them did, 2 or more of those, and that's what they would attribute their greatest success to. So I'll just wrap that up now. Anna, thank you so much for your time. This has been incredible. And ladies, I hope you have enjoyed this inspiration session and it's left you with a bit of extra oomph and how you can bring self-love into your life and use it to propel yourself and your business. Thanks again so much for your time, Anna.
You're so welcome. Bye, beautiful ladies.
Bye.